Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're taking a look at the 1965 Morris Mini Traveller. Now this was produced between 1960 and 1969, while it was also sold under the Austin Mini Countryman name. So if you ever wondered where the Countryman name came from, well, it came from this period with this vehicle, and yeah, both of them sold around 207,000 units, so really rather successful for an estate car back in the 60s. And yeah, only 9 short years being around is fairly successful as well. And yeah, basically this is a car with a 2-foot-old name because it's based on the actual Mini in chassis and looks from the front, but it's also taken inspiration from the Morris Minor Traveller with its ashwood rear frame and obviously longer body. So yeah, Mini as in terms of the actual Mini car, the usual one that we're all used to, while also being literally a mini version of a Morris Minor Traveller. So yeah, that's a kind of a double fold name. And yeah, like I said, it's obviously longer than a standard Mini by it's 9.7 inches, meaning it's 129.9 inches long. But what the this has got around, unlike the modern Countryman and the like, is that the fact that yes, it's longer than the standard Mini, but it's not all that much heavier, and it's not all that much bigger in general either. 9.7 inches is not all that much, but it does give you plenty of extra room in the back. So as you can see, there's a really rather large amount of leg room there for the rear seats, and inevitably you get a much larger boot as well. The boot on a standard Mini is pretty woeful, whereas here it's yeah, really rather large, and if those rear seats folded down, you'd have a really rather copious amount of space in there. So yeah, I can certainly see the reason behind having a car like this, because if you wanted a small but practical vehicle, then yeah, this certainly would fit the bill. And yeah, it's a lot smaller than the standard Morris Minor Traveller, which is, you know, emphasising the fact that this weighs 271 pounds less than that Minor Traveller, weighing in at 1,486 pounds, which is still really rather light, even if it is not quite as light as a standard Mini. And yeah, meaning it's so light, it doesn't really matter that this doesn't have, you know, the most amount of power you've ever seen on a vehicle on this game, quite frankly. So yeah, if we can get into the engine here, don't know why it's not letting me. There we go. So yeah, the engine is still mounted in a transverse manner, with the gearbox in the oil sump like the standard Mini, and yeah, so 848cc inline 4 engine producing 34 horsepower and 44 pounds-feet of torque. Now I know we only have the 1953 Morris Minor Traveller to compare this against, but still that is 5 horsepower more than that Minor Traveller and 4 pounds-feet of torque more as well. So yeah, couple that extra bit of power and torque along with the fact that it weighs nearly 300 pounds less, and you have a much faster, much more fun car to drive, which is again helped by the fact that this is front wheel drive, unlike the Minor Traveller, which is rear wheel drive. Now for front engine cars that have very little in the way of horsepower, I do find front wheel drive is the better and more fun option to go for, because the Minor Traveller with only 29 horsepower and rear wheel drive is just not all that much fun to drive. It's an unusual car to have on a racing game, and I do like the fact it is included in the game itself. But this is easily the more fun car to drive because it has front wheel drive. Means that, you know, there's less resistance for the engine to work at, because obviously the more mechanical parts you have to put an engine's power through, the less power and less, you know, drivability you have at the other end. So yeah, really do like this car, and it's just as simple and easy to use as a standard Mini. As you can see, very limited amount of gauges, all centered in the middle just like the standard Mini. And yeah, very little in the way of you know, amenities, but at the end of the day, that's what made these cars so popular, is that they were cheap, fun, but also you know, reliable and easy to use, whereas this also has the added benefit of being practical. But nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and just see what it can do. So unfortunately we don't have a standard Mini to compare this against. I know we have the Cooper S, but that was really the top of the line, you know, sporty version of the Mini with 75 horsepower. So yeah, it's a bit unfair to compare this against that, so that's why I am really comparing it against the Minor Traveller, because yeah, same kind of power, same kind of engine size, but yeah, this is a lot lighter and has that little bit of extra power, though I'm sure the Minor Traveller did eventually, by this point of this car's introduction, have a much better engine. probably even the same engine as this, to be honest. But nonetheless, this can do 0 to 60 in 29.1 seconds and reach a top speed of 70 miles an hour, which, if you know your British history, was the top speed in Britain around the late 60s. So yeah, this more than capable of dealing with motorway speeds, while also you know, still being pretty peppy up until that point. Granted, in 4th gear it's not all that quick, but first through to third is fairly decent, and like I said, because it is front wheel drive, it's far more fun to drive than the minor Traveller, which could only do 0 to 60 in 52.5 seconds and a mere 62 mile an hour. So yeah, far quicker in terms of acceleration, far quicker in terms of top speed, but at the end of the day that's not what this car's all about. It's all about being a small practical car that is still usable in the city, but while also being a far more practical than the standard Mini, while not having all that much extra in terms of bodywork or weight. So yeah, and it achieves that really rather well. And yeah, I know it's not looking like the most fun car to drive right now, but this car, like many other underpowered vehicles on this game, really do come alive when you start off-roading them and the like. I do really find them rather fun to drive in that kind of environment. Not quite as fun on the asphalt, but still decently quick, and yeah, far from the slowest vehicle on the game. And yeah, it is really nice that we've got this version of the Mini in. I would like a standard you know, Mini in the game included with the Cooper S, because Cooper S is fun and all, but it was the you know, top of the line rarer version of the Mini. After all, not everybody was able to afford such a version of the Mini, whereas yeah, the standard one sold like hotcakes, and yeah, this did really well as well. Weirdly, the Austin actually sold slightly more than this. The Austin sold around 107,000, whereas I think this sold about just under 100,000. So yeah, for whatever reason that was the case. But yeah, I still really rather like this car, and I do maintain that front wheel drive for front engined underpowered vehicles is the way to go. And this pretty much proves my point, quite frankly, because it is really rather fun to drive, which it wouldn't quite be as fun to drive if it had only rear wheel drive. So yeah, really do like this car, and it's a bit of an oddity to add to the game, and yeah, does once again make the variety of the game all the better. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.